Do you find your stories meandering without direction? Or do your characters' motivations seem unclear? Let's be honest, plotting a novel can sometimes feel like navigating a maze without a map. But what if I told you there's a way to turn all that chaos into a clear, engaging narrative? After 2 decades of writing and analyzing fantasy novels, I've identified several key strategies to regain control of my narratives. And in this video, I'll share all these insights with you to help you create more focused and compelling plots as well. From laying the foundation of robust story plots to mastering the art of character evolution and plot dynamics. Get ready to journey from the initial spark of an idea to the final polish of a compelling narrative. One of the most effective ways to create a strong narrative direction is to define clear goals for your story and your characters. For example, your protagonist might want to find a lost family member, uncover a hidden truth, or defeat a powerful antagonist. These goals provide motivation and a sense of purpose, helping to guide the plot and keep it focused. Aligning the plot with the character's goals is crucial for creating a cohesive narrative. Use frameworks like GMC to structure your character's objectives and ensure they are intertwined with the main plot. GMC stands for Goal, Motivation, Conflict, and the framework helps outline what the character wants, so their goal, why they want it, the motivation, and what stands in their way, the conflict. For instance, in The Lord of the Rings, Frodo's goal is to destroy the One Ring, motivated by the need to save Middle-earth, with the conflict being the various forces trying to stop him. Goals need to be specific and tangible to drive the story effectively. Vague aspirations can lead to aimless narratives. For example, instead of a character merely wanting adventure, they could aim to find the lost city of Eloria to prove their worth as a scholar. This specificity not only clarifies their motivation, but also sets up clear stakes and obstacles. Let's consider the character of Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. Her goal of avenging her family by eliminating her enemies is clear and compelling, driving her actions throughout the series. This goal is both personal and aligned with the overarching plot of political intrigue and revenge, making her journey integral to the story. By defining clear goals for your characters, you provide a roadmap for your plot, ensuring that every scene and development serves a purpose. This approach not only keeps the narrative focused, but also enhances the emotional investment of your readers, as they root for the characters to achieve their objectives. Character arcs are usually an important part of a compelling narrative because they show how characters grow and change in response to the events of the story. Imagine a character who starts as a timid individual and gradually becomes a courageous leader by the end of the story. This transformation not only keeps readers invested, but also provides a satisfying payoff as they witness the character's journey. To create effective character arcs, it's crucial to balance internal and external changes. Internal changes reflect the emotional and psychological growth of the character, while external changes are driven by the plot's events. For example, in The Hobbit, Bilbo Baggins evolves from a cautious, comfort-living hobbit into a brave and resourceful hero. His internal growth is mirrored by the external adventures he undertakes, making his journey both believable and inspiring. To track character development alongside plot events, it's useful to map out the arc before diving into writing. This can be done by pinpointing key moments in the story where the character faces significant challenges or makes pivotal decisions. Each of these moments should contribute to the character's growth or highlight their traits. For instance, in Harry Potter, Harry's confrontations with Voldemort and his experiences at Hogwarts shape his journey from an uncertain boy to a confident and capable young man. Balancing internal and external arcs also means ensuring that each plot event has a direct impact on the character. Earlier, we discussed Arya Stark's goal of avenging her family in Game of Thrones. This goal not only drives her actions, but also intersects with her internal transformation from a naive girl to a skilled assassin. Such continuity ensures that readers remain invested in her journey as each step feels logical and compelling. To ensure your character arcs are equally compelling, consider using tools like character arc templates or worksheets. These can help outline your character's journey, identify key turning points, and ensure that their growth aligns with the overall plot. By doing so, you create a cohesive narrative where character development enhances the story's depth and emotional impact. It's important to emphasize though that not all stories require dynamic character arcs. In some cases, static characters who do not undergo significant internal change can be just as compelling. Consider James Bond in many of the classic 007 films. Bond remains largely unchanged throughout the series, but his charm, skills, and the high-stake missions he undertakes keep audiences engaged. Sherlock Holmes would be another good example here. The key is to understand when a static character serves your story better than one who evolves. By recognizing this balance, you can effectively decide when a character should grow or remain consistent to serve the narrative best. Ensuring that your story unfolds in a cohesive and logical sequence is crucial for maintaining reader engagement. One effective way to achieve this is through plot mapping. Techniques like the 3-act structure or story circle can be invaluable in planning out the main events of your story. For example, the 3-act structure divides your plot into setup, confrontation, and resolution. Each act builds on the previous one, ensuring a smooth progression of events. In the setup, you introduce your characters and their world, establishing the story's premise. The confrontation act presents the protagonist with challenges and obstacles, creating tension and conflict. Finally, the resolution brings the story to a satisfying conclusion, resolving the main conflict and tying up loose ends. Another essential aspect here is ensuring scene connectivity. Each scene should contribute to the overall story and transition smoothly to the next. Techniques like scene and sequel can help create logical connections between scenes. In this approach, a scene presents a goal, conflict, and disaster, while a sequel shows the character's reaction, dilemma, and decision, leading naturally to the next scene. For example, in a fantasy novel, a scene might depict the protagonist fighting a dragon. The goal of the scene is to defeat the dragon. The conflict is that the dragon is incredibly powerful, and the disaster is represented by the protagonist being injured. The sequel then could show the protagonist recovering and deciding the next course of action, thus seamlessly moving the plot forward. However, while structured plotting can be highly effective, it's important to remember that not all writers thrive on meticulous pre-planning. Some authors, often called gardeners or pantsers, prefer a more organic approach, allowing the story to unfold naturally as they write. This can lead to a more fluid and dynamic narrative, though it might require more revision to ensure coherence. Now, if you found anything useful in the video so far, please consider giving it a like to help me grow the channel. Thank you. There are various tools and techniques that can help you organize your thoughts and plot points effectively. One such tool is the beat sheet, which outlines major plot points and milestones in your story. This method allows you to see the overall structure of your narrative at a glance, making it easier to identify any potential issues with pacing or flow. For instance, a beat sheet for a fantasy novel might highlight key events such as the protagonist discovering their magical abilities, the first major battle against the antagonist, and the final confrontation. Another useful technique is storyboarding, often employed by screenwriters. This involves creating visual representations of your scenes on index cards or digital boards, allowing you to rearrange and visualize the sequence of events. Storyboarding can help you ensure that each scene logically follows the previous one. Outlining in general is not a one-time task though, it's an iterative process. As your story evolves, you should revisit and refine your outline to accommodate for new ideas and changes in direction. For instance, if a subplot becomes more significant than initially planned, adjust your outline to reflect its new importance. One approach to iterative outlining is the snowflake method, where you start with a simple summary and gradually add more detail. Begin with a single sentence that encapsulates your story's premise, then expand it into a paragraph, then a page, and so on, until you have a detailed outline. This method allows you to build your narrative layer by layer, ensuring that each element is thoroughly developed and integrated into the overall plot. Another technique is mind mapping, which can help you explore the connections between different plot points, characters, and themes. By creating a visual map of your story's elements, you can identify relationships and dependencies that might not be immediately obvious. Remember, the goal of outlining is to provide a roadmap for your story, not to stifle your creativity. Allow yourself the freedom to deviate from the outline as new ideas emerge, but use it as a guide to keep your narrative focused and cohesive. The central conflict is the core problem or challenge that the protagonist must overcome, and it should be evident from the outset. As the story progresses, the stakes must escalate to maintain tension and excitement. This means the consequences of failure become more severe and the challenges more daunting. Consider how in The Lord of the Rings, the stakes rise with each step Frodo takes towards Mordor, from facing the Nazgul to navigating the treacherous paths of Mordor itself. The increasing stakes keep readers on edge, rooting for the protagonist's success. To effectively build conflict and stakes, ensure that each major plot point heightens the tension. For instance, if the protagonist's initial goal is to protect their village from a dragon, subsequent events should make this task increasingly difficult, such as discovering the dragon is controlled by an even greater enemy. This escalation not only adds depth to the plot, but also keeps readers invested in the outcome because of the increased challenges. Moreover, personal stakes are just as important as global ones. The protagonist's personal goals, relationships, and internal struggles should intertwine with the central conflict. For example, in Harry Potter, Harry's battle against Voldemort is not just about defeating a dark wizard. It's also about avenging his parents and protecting his friends. While focusing on all this conflict, it's essential to balance it with moments of respite and include calmer and less tense scenes. These quieter moments allow for character development and reflection, giving readers a chance to breathe before tension ramps up again. In addition to a strong central plot, developing engaging subplots can significantly enhance your narrative. Subplots are secondary storylines that run parallel to the main plot, providing additional layers of interest and helping to develop secondary characters. In The Lord of the Rings, for example, Aragorn's evolving relationship with Arwen as a romance subplot enriches his character arc and adds a personal stake to his larger quest. However, it is crucial to ensure that subplots are not just filler material. They should ideally always be connected with the main plot somehow. And when crafting subplots, think about how they can reveal different facets of your characters. Subplots can showcase a character's strengths, weaknesses, and personal growth in ways that the main plot might not. For example, a subplot involving a character's struggle to reconcile with an estranged sibling can highlight their vulnerability and capacity for forgiveness, expanding the depth of their overall arc. Avoid overwhelming the reader with too many subplots though. Instead, focus on a few well-developed secondary storylines that enhance the main plot. To keep readers engaged from beginning to end, maintaining proper pacing across the entire plot is crucial. Pacing refers to the speed at which your story unfolds, balancing moments of high tension with slower, more reflective scenes. The right pacing keeps the narrative dynamic and ensures that readers remain hooked throughout the entire story. A balanced rhythm of action, tension, and reflection is key to effective pacing. Too much action can exhaust the reader, while too many slow scenes might cause boredom. Consider alternating between high-stake action scenes and quieter character-driven moments. For example, after an intense battle scene, you might follow up with a scene where the characters regroup and reflect on their experiences. This not only gives the readers a breather, but also deepens their connection with the characters. Introducing pacing tools like chapter breaks, cliffhangers, and varied scene lengths can also help maintain reader interest. Cliffhangers at the end of chapters create suspense and encourage readers to keep turning the pages, while varying the length of your scenes can add to the dynamism of your story. Shorter scenes increase the pace, and longer scenes allow for more detailed development. Having said that though, it is important to remember that pacing should be tailored to the needs of your story. Some stories, especially those focused on introspection and emotional growth, may benefit from a slower pace. Others, particularly those in the thriller or action genres, may require a faster pace to keep the excitement levels high. The key is to find a rhythm that suits the tone and genre of your story, while ensuring that every scene serves a purpose and drives the narrative forward. The climax is the story's peak moment of tension and conflict, while the resolution ties up loose ends and resolves the main plot threads. Building towards a satisfying climax requires careful planning and pacing. The climax should be the culmination of all the narrative tension and conflicts that have been building throughout the story. For example, in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, the climax occurs when Frodo reaches Mount Doom and confronts the ultimate challenge of destroying the One Ring. This moment is intense and high stakes, serving as the pivotal point that resolves the main conflict of the series. To ensure the climax is impactful, it should address the story's central themes and character arcs. This moment is where your character's growth and development are put to the ultimate test. Following the climax, the resolution provides a sense of closure by tying up loose ends and resolving any remaining subplots. This phase of the story should address the consequences of the climax and show how the characters' lives have changed as a result. A well-crafted resolution can leave readers with a lasting impression and a feeling of completion. One effective technique for crafting a satisfying resolution is the use of epilogues. An epilogue can offer a glimpse into the character's futures, providing additional closure and a sense of continuity. For example, the epilogue in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows shows the characters as adults, giving readers a sense of where their lives have led and reinforcing the themes of love and legacy. Another important aspect of a strong resolution is ensuring that all major plot threads are addressed. This doesn't necessarily mean that every question must be answered, but the main conflicts and character arcs should reach a conclusive end. Unresolved subplots or dangling threads can leave readers feeling unsatisfied and disconnected from the story. It's also essential to balance the resolution's tone with the rest of the narrative. If your story has been dark and intense, a resolution that provides a sense of hope and healing can be particularly impactful. Conversely, if your story has been lighthearted and adventurous, a resolution that maintains that tone will feel more cohesive and satisfying. Remember, the goal of the climax and resolution is to provide a rewarding payoff for your reader's investment in the story. But even the best outline for your book is not going to save you if your readers put down the book before the story even begins. Check out this video here for 16 different ways to write your story's opening in order to hook your readers right from the start.